Well, hey, friend. I love that we get to catch up.
Good to see you, Kristen. How's it going today?
I'm good and relaxed because I'm just a washed up radio DJ, and all I got to do is ask you stuff. So the heavy lifting is on your part, not mine. And that is like glorious.
Yeah, okay, well, I'll see what I can do. One step at a time, though. Take it slow. Like just don't like not like rapid fire questions or anything like that. I mean, I'd like to think I could do that. I probably could, but why stress ourselves out? Let's take it easy. And I think it would stress our viewers out too. Like nobody wants to hear that. Yeah.
No, all that. Like, what is this? What is that? What is this? Go to. No, we're just. This is actually, I'm a little concerned you're going to have trouble answering this question. I mean, you're really smart. I've told you you're one of the smartest people I know, and that's not anything.
Will you tell Katie, my wife? that I'm
It's not
smart?
about every topic. It's about certain
Okay.
topics, and I'm not going to name the topics on the air.
Okay.
But I'm going to ask you a really hard question. It's going to stump you.
Okay.
What made you start Talon Wealth?
Well, it's not going to stump me. I mean,
I know.
it is a great question. Yeah.
But seriously, you're so passionate about this. What made you?
It's a story that we've told a few times, and I think that, many of our listeners, but not all of our viewers, right? Because we've done radio for a long time together, and so I feel like it's something I've talked about a lot. But we're
We're new to some people here.
we're new to some people here. So, basically, it started with a passion to help people that I felt were underserved when it comes to financial services. And what I mean about underserved is the financial services industry. It's evolved over time. But back in the 80s, people had stockbrokers. In the 90s, they weren't really stockbrokers. They kind of were. But then it evolved into people didn't sell stocks. They sold mutual funds. And there was a similarity. They were selling. They sold stocks for a commission. Then they sold mutual funds for a fee. Then they got into products, things like annuities and real estate investment trusts. And it just all felt very salesy all the time. And one of the things that always made me very, very uncomfortable, because I realized that in a lot of ways, when you're describing to somebody what you do and how you do it, and if they eventually become a client of yours, and if they eventually are paying you a fee to become a client, that is a sales process. It just happens to be the sales process that I'm most comfortable with,
Okay.
because to me, it's the process where if you're a fee-based advisor and your client is paying you a fee to help them manage their portfolio, but they're paying you that fee because you're providing value. In other words, you're showing them a higher average rate of return after your fee. That's value. Not
Yeah.
you got paid a commission to do something.
It's got to outweigh everything. That makes sense.
It outweighs everything else. So returns net of fees, it needs to be a benefit to your client. But also if you're retired or close to it, or even if you're not retired or close to it, I mean, the amount of risk you're taking to get that return should mean something. So the evolution of all of this and really the foundation for Talon has been, I was a numbers kid growing up. In college, I was still a numbers kid.
The University of Florida, that was it business
University of
and
Florida?
economics
Yeah, well,
degree?
I grew up in Florida. My parents went to University of Florida. So if you're not a University of Florida if you're not a University of Florida fan,
Don't worry, some of us are not
don't
big
hate
fans.
not everybody is. Frankly, Kristen, you're
No.
not, right? South Carolina, but
But I do like that the Talon Wealth is the official wealth management team of the Gators, Florida Gators. So it puts me in a tight spot with college football coming up.
yeah, what are you going to do with that?
it
Now, who are you
makes
going to root
sense,
for? I mean, now
though.
you got to go with your team. But it's you know what? It's a good school. Whether you like their sports or not, it's a good school. I got a great education. My parents went there. I wasn't planning on being a financial advisor or investment advisor. For me, just path of least resistance was math and science. So I got a degree in economics and finance. Wound up in Chicago for a little while, spent a little bit of time at the Board of Trade. Then I wound up in New York for a little while. And around 25 years ago, decided to start a private wealth management company. But going back to what I was initially saying is, the idea was we felt that most investors, particularly retired or close to it, were being underserved by the financial services industry. And what I mean by that is they didn't get all the investment options that were available to them. They weren't working with fee-based advisors, or if they were, the advisor wasn't providing value through higher rates of return.
And you knew this
They,
kind of firsthand because when you got in the business, I'm sorry to interrupt, but a key part
yeah,
was people, you got out, met a few people, and they said, hey, sell these annuities, buddy, you're going to be on track. You're going to have a
yeah. Listen,
great
I
business.
remember I, one of my, a job early on was working for what they call captive insurance companies, and they said, hey, this guy can talk, this guy can this guy can that. Let's train him to sell our product, and that's what they're doing.
And so you had
That's a
that passion
captive.
for helping people there, that group
Well,
of
you wanted to
people.
help them.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
it,
then, but then you realize the tools in your bag are limited to what that company's
that
doing,
changes things.
and that changes things, right? And then it's like, well, you got to go help people, but you can only use these financial instruments. So if it's insurance, it's things like health insurance or life insurance or annuities or something like that. If you're working for a large bank or a big brokerage firm that says, well, we'll put you in front of people, but this is our business model. You have to promote these types of investments or this investment philosophy, then that's what you do. So the catalyst for Talon Wealth was to work independently for individuals, help them invest, and basically just educate them on all of the investment options that are available to them, help them make informed decisions, explain what we do, how we do it, and if they feel we can provide value, then they'll hire us to manage their portfolios for them. And value should be defined as, are we showing you a higher average rate of return after our fees than what you can do on your own or what your current financial advisor is doing? But not just that, can we also reduce the amount of risk you're taking to get those returns?
And then Talon Wealth itself, the name. Again, we have new people meeting us right now because it's all online.
Sure.
Relay that story because it's a really beautiful one to me. I mean, the name of this show is Guarding Your Nest Egg, and our emblem is like an eagle with
Yeah.
talons. So I kind of get it, but there's more to it
Well,
than that.
I'll summarize a little bit. So it's something that came together for me. So we got into a situation where we wanted to rebrand who we are and what we do and how we do it. And we're very patriotic, and all of our
Absolutely.
advisors are very patriotic. So, any time you can get a bald eagle, right, into any kind of advertising or any kind of eagle or any sort of, hawk or eagle, that's really where the Talon part comes from. But the idea was, we had already written a book, Guarding Your Nest Egg, and we had that, and this was before the Guarding Your Nest Egg radio show. So this idea of, well, it is your nest egg, it is your retirement, but you want to protect it,
But you need to guard
just
it.
made a lot of
Yeah.
sense,
Yeah.
and so hence Talon, and there were some other things in there. We had to find something that wasn't already taken. So Talon Wealth Management wasn't taken, or Talon Private Wealth wasn't taken at the time. So that's the way we did that. But I think the story that you're referring to was, I was just doing a lot of searching and a lot of looking, and I was trying to figure out, what did I want to name
It
this
needed to mean
company?
something to you. I've known you for
And it had to
10
mean
years.
something,
It
and it
couldn't
needed to
just
be
be Mike
personal.
Lester helps you with your money. And
I
that's
was
not
never
you.
going to name it. I was never going to name it Mike Lester
Like
Wealth.
Lester Investments? I don't know.
But no, I was on my dad had always wanted to go on a father-son fishing trip to Alaska. And we grew up in Florida, so Alaska wasn't a place that we'd ever been. And so we
Yeah.
wound up, finally got to do it later in life. We went to Alaska and we're doing a fishing trip. And in Alaska, you can go on these, basically you fly out in a float plane and you go to some sort of remote place that's hard to get to. You fish for a while, you come back. And it was called Talon Airways. And it was just pretty cool. And the other thing you're referring to is we had got the souvenir T-shirts and stuff like that. And years after the trip, it was Christmas, and Mom and Dad had gotten that T-shirt framed, and
Because he just
it's in
got it
one of
as
our
a souvenir
offices
when he
now.
was there that day.
Yeah, I just got a souvenir. It was probably in a drawer forever, and I thought, hey, this would be great.
Let's iron this
But
out
it's in
and
perfect condition. Yeah, if I get real chilly, I can just take it out of the frame and probably
in the
wear it.
office.
But,
Yeah, let's do
in
that.
the office.
Well, we've got offices coast to coast, east coast to west coast, and you can always find more about Mike and what he does, his why, which he's just told you about, but how that could apply to you by visiting the website that makes so much sense. And by the way, Our eagle is like an eagle that's like digital. Like we're not going to use an actual like eagle right there. So
We don't have one yet, but I
we need
did
an
meet a
eagle
guy
mascot.
along the way that trains hawks, and it's like, wow. Can you imagine if we had that going on at the office?
I'm
I
going to
mean,
stump you.
yeah.
The name of the guy who you hear on the front of the show open
Hawk.
is Hawk
Yes.
on our
I know
radio
that.
show. Oh, you did know that. Okay. I thought I was going to really blow your mind. Never mind.
You
Sorry,
didn't
everybody.
stump me, yeah, but
But we stay true
I don't
to the
think
talons.
I don't think I could hold my arm up and get Hawk to land on it.
No, he's a pretty big
He's a
dude.
bigger guy. Yeah, he's fine. Yeah.
The story of Talon Wealth, the why is important because when you listening and watching are looking for a financial advisor, it means a lot to you because it's your money. And so their why should mean a lot so that you understand their purpose, what's driving them, their passion. Is it just a job? Maybe. And sometimes that's okay. But it's not to you, Mike. And I just think everybody should know that.
Well, I'm glad they do now.
We'll talk to you next week, friend. Actually, I'm sure I'll talk to you before, but we'll talk to everybody else next week.
Most likely. See you next week. Thank you for watching. Go to guardingyournestegg.com for your free and objective personal financial plan.